Fatal truck accidents are too common, happening nearly 11 times every single day in this country on average, killing nearly 4,000 people every year, according to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Welcome to our Boca Raton Car Accident and Injury Google Hangout. My name is Rene. I'm here with Joe Osborne, South Florida car accident lawyer. We're going to talk about tractor-trailer accidents today, Joe, and how are things in South Florida?
It's great. Thanks for having me, Rene.
How quickly should a victim contact an attorney after a tractor-trailer accident?
It's imperative that a victim contact an attorney right away. Tractor trailers are all over our roadways. Many of them are owned by very large companies, sometimes smaller companies that are local here in the South Florida area. Either way, when a driver of a tractor trailer is involved in an accident, rest assured that the company will move quickly to conduct its own investigation. That can include a variety of things, meaning the interview of witnesses, checking the mechanical equipment on the vehicle, making sure that the driver was or was not negligent. In other words, getting all of their ducks in a row to make sure that if they are sued or if a claim is brought, they can quickly do everything they can to try and minimize their exposure. So if a company is going to get out ahead of you in a case like this, it's very, very important that you hire a qualified lawyer who can conduct a similar investigation and make sure that your claim is protected.
How about if the injured person doesn't know the full extent of his or her injuries? Should they still contact you immediately?
Yes, it's even more important. Florida law requires that in order to obtain certain benefits through your insurance carrier, particularly your PIP benefits, that you seek medical care and treatment within 14 days of an accident. So even though you may not know the full extent of your injuries or may not even know if you need to see a doctor, it can be important to establish that doctor-patient relationship to be certain that you maintain access to those benefits. In addition, it is really imperative that depending upon how the collision occurred, how severe the collision was, that you get in the hands of the right physician, whether it's a spine doctor, a neck doctor, a shoulder person, that can evaluate your injuries, that can engage the right type of therapy and the right type of treatments so that your injuries are documented the right way, and more importantly, that you receive the type of treatment that you need to make sure that hopefully you can recover from your injury.
Yeah, it appears people have this reflex that if they don't see broken bones or blood, that they're not that hurt, and sometimes they're really hurt. They need to go and find out.
Absolutely, and it's not uncommon depending upon the type of collision, and we see this, and our experts talk about it all the time. A day or two after an accident, you may feel like you're okay and you kind of dodged a bullet, but it's really 5, 6, 7 days later when the inflammation starts to die down, the swelling dies down, and then the injury really starts to demonstrate itself through either a pain syndrome or other problems, and then ultimately, the victim ends up going to a doctor, but it's a week after the accident, and that can really have an impact on your overall recovery.
What are some of the most common causes of tractor-trailer versus car accidents?
Some of them we've touched upon, but clearly there's an analysis that has to go on. Tractor trailers are obviously complicated vehicles. Mechanical failures are one of the things that we investigate when we see tractor trailer accidents. Tires, brakes, locking systems, ability to stop, things of those nature become really important in terms of the evaluation as to why an accident occurred. Driver negligence. Some of the drivers, depending upon what their routes are and what their job responsibilities are, they can be behind the wheels for the wheel for hours. And we'll look at things like driving logs, how long someone's been on the road, how often they're on the road, and really look at whether or not distraction, someone being too tired, someone who may have violated some code or regulation in terms of hours driven on a particular day or in a particular week, how that could certainly impact the cause of a crash. And then obviously, the driving record of the particular driver, speeding records, and look at the history in terms of how well that driver has operated the vehicle in the past. And then training. Sometimes companies will go to, kind of the quick fix method, and if they need drivers, the training that a driver receives may not be optimal to where they're really not qualified to operate a vehicle like that. So we'll look at some of the training parameters that the company institute, how that particular driver was trained, and whether or not a lack of training could have caused or contributed to the accident.
I'm curious, if we compare the weight of a car versus the load and weight of a tractor trailer, are you familiar with how that compares?
Well, we certainly know it when we look at velocity and impact and collision force, that you're obviously talking apples to oranges. I mean, the collisions and the impacts that occur with tractor trailers can clearly be extremely catastrophic, which is why training is so important. I mean, if anyone's ever attempted to drive a tractor trailer, you know that it is not the same as driving a car. I mean, it is a completely different vehicle. It's a completely different animal, and you need to have proper training to make sure that you operate it safely. And like I said, unfortunately, a lot of the companies shortcut that, and we have people on the highway that are dangerous.
What other parties, other than the driver of the tractor trailer, can be held liable for accidents that the driver may have caused?
So in Florida, we live in a vicarious liability state, which means that if you injure somebody while you're operating as an employee of a company, then the company is vicariously liable or also responsible for the injuries that the employee causes. So, for instance, if a driver of a tractor trailer works for a company and is negligent because he was speeding or distracted or did something which caused the vehicle, we can bring a claim not only against the driver but his employer because he was operating within the scope of his employment at the time that he committed the negligent act. So it's important to understand that we make sure that the claim is evaluated not only from the standpoint of what the driver did or didn't do and what insurance may be available to the injured person, but also what the company has done to protect themselves and what insurance coverage may be available through the company for that particular claim.
Our hangout is dovetailing a little bit with our previous one when we talked about vicarious liability, so it's the same kind of situation that can happen with tractor trailer drivers.
Absolutely.
If you have a case in South Florida related to a car accident or any other accident or injury, please call Joe Osborne at 561-800-4011. Again, 561-800-4011. Or you can visit the firm at www.oa-lawfirm.com. Joe, it's always a pleasure listening to your experience and knowledge with this kind of topic.
Yep, thanks for having me, Rene. It's always a pleasure to be here.
I want to thank everyone that made this possible again today. Invite our audience to come back next week when we'll have another important topic to discuss. But for now, goodbye and have a safe weekend.